I stand here today, grateful for the diversity of my heritage, aware that my parents' dreams live on in my two precious daughters. I stand here knowing that my story is part of the larger American story, that I owe a debt to all of those who came before me, and that in no other country on earth is my story even possible.
Well, that's my definition of American exceptionalist. Anyway, welcome back to Harvard. That was the then state Senator Barack Obama giving the keynote address at the 2004 Democratic National Convention. It inspired millions. 4 years later, he would be the Democratic nominee for president. Well, this week, Michelle Bachmann of Minnesota, the retiring Tea Party congresswoman who occupies the fringiest of the fringe spaces in American politics, had a different explanation for Barack Obama's historic win in 2008. She told conservative columnist Cal Thomas, quote, "I think there was a cachet about having an African-American president because of guilt." But she said people don't hold guilt for a woman. I guess she's talking about Hillary. She added, quote, "I don't think there is a pent-up desire for a female president." Well, in other words, no need to worry about Hillary Clinton for the Republicans in 2016. Liberal guilt only extends so far. Michelle Bachmann is once again proving her clown car bona fides. And this week, she's got plenty of company. Clearly, the clown car is gassed up and still out there hot rodding. Here to make sense of it all, Ron Reagan's an MSNBC political analyst, and Dana Milbank is a columnist for the Washington Post. Ron, you first. On Michelle Bachmann, I was inspired, as everybody knows, by what then State Senator Barack Obama set up in Boston in 2004. Guilt, it may be around the fringes, but I got to tell you, it was not to vote for a black per se to be president. It was about him and his story that inspired people to vote for him. What he had done, you know, blind tested, winning to become editor of the Harvard Law Review, all that, but it had nothing to do with race. And then to accomplish what he was going to accomplish by being elected to the United States Senate. The idea that it's something to do with guilt is a weird way to go at this conversation, I think.
Well, you would expect anything different from Michelle Bachmann. She's got weird as her middle name, I think. I mean, yes, I don't remember people voting for Barack Obama so much out of guilt. It was out of enthusiasm, I think, and out of a recognition that the other candidate really wasn't so hot as a presidential candidate.
Well, that's the truth.
Michelle Bachmann sort of hit the daily double here, though. She's offended minorities and women, two groups that the Republicans surely don't need to improve their electoral chances. But let's give her some credit. She is partly right when she talks about particularly women and Americans not being ready to elect another woman. Americans fairly recently did prove that they are not ready to elect as president a woman named Michelle Bachmann. And Michelle Bachmann might be just confusing the issue there.
Yeah, well, she did run for president. Anyway, Matt Bevin, this is for you, Dana. The Tea Party challenger to Mitch McConnell out in Kentucky was asked about gay marriage this week. And let's just say Bevin has some concerns about the consequences of allowing such marriages to occur. You figure this out. He took us down a rabbit hole. Let's listen.
If it's all right to have same-sex marriages, why not define a marriage? Because at the end of the day, a lot of this ends up being taxes and who can visit who in the hospital, and there's other repercussions and things that come with this. So a person may want to define themselves as being married to one of their children so that they could then, in fact, pass on certain things to that child financially and otherwise. Where do you draw the line? And if, in fact, a person can arbitrarily draw it here, why not could someone else draw it arbitrarily somewhere else?
Well, a spokesperson for Bevin later said he was not comparing gay marriage with incest. He was discussing the implications of the legal rights related to this issue. Dana, why do they go in these holes? I don't know. Your thoughts? Never mind. Other than his words, I can't get into his words. They're too difficult to navigate. Your thoughts?
It is astonishing. I mean, look, it's been a while since we had Rick Santorum talk about man on dog, making the same sort of comparison, suggesting that gay marriage was a slippery slope. He's doing the same thing here. I think this is a Todd Aiken moment for Bevin, and I think if he, it's certainly not going to hurt him in his Republican primary against Mitch McConnell, but if he gets through that, this is the sort of candidate that I think the general electorate is going to have some difficulty electing. Now, you say it's the clown car returning. They are certainly clownish, but it's not clear to me that they are necessarily the fringe here. I mean, this guy is giving the Senate Minority Leader a serious run. You've got the man who's favored to be the next.
Dana, you wish. You wish. You're in heaven if he wins. Come on. Do you really think Bevin can beat McConnell?
I think that he's missed his Tea Party moment, but he certainly has Mitch McConnell running scared. Look, he's
even
running the whole
McConnell's
Senate
going to
that
say,
way.
"What's this about marrying your son or daughter? What wackiness are we talking about?" Let's. We got some more Concord memberships here. Next up, U.S. Congressman Steve King, an old reliable. Back in July, King explained why he was opposed to the bipartisan immigration reform compromise. Let's catch this golden oldie.
For everyone who's a valedictorian, there's another 100 out there that they weigh 130 pounds and they've got calves the size of cantaloupes because they're hauling 75 pounds of marijuana across the desert. Those people would be legalized with the same act.
He's talking about human beings that came in the country illegally without documents. He's talking about people that somehow got calves the size of cantaloupes from hauling 150 pounds of hash or whatever they were calling. This guy's crazy. Anyway, this week, Congressman King was asked about the harsh rhetoric he uses on a number of issues, including immigration. He said some of that rhetoric, he called it, was about getting his colleagues to pay attention. For example, he said,
Dick Durbin, as far as I know, no longer describes the Dreamers as valedictorians. We've corrected that major flaw, and sometimes we have to, otherwise it distorts the public's understanding. So I'm not going to apologize. What I've said is objectively true, and any time that Republicans have criticized me, it's not because of what I said, it's because they disagreed with my agenda. And that's really the answer.
Did you make that, Ron Reagan? There's nothing very wrong with making fun of the physiognomy of people that come in this country illegally because you're some kind of a specialist at it. But the calves the size of cantaloupes. Dan Burton shoots at cantaloupes to prove that Vince Foster didn't commit suicide. What is this about cantaloupes and right-wing Republicans?
It's reducing
the fruit of choice.
In this case, well, it's turning people into animals basically, and what these Republicans don't seem to understand, they would love the Hispanic vote, they would love to get a bigger share of that vote, and yet they use language and talk about people in a way that suggests they think that they're pack animals or something. Never mind the fact that nothing he's saying is true or makes any sense. He was talking about dream actors. These are children that were brought here as children to the United States by their parents. What does that have to do with hauling marijuana through the desert? Nothing.
Well, it makes it a lot easier to vote against an immigration bill if that's what you think.
That's true.
It's too crazy. Anyway, this week the Republican candidate for governor of Texas campaigned with Ted Nugent, the man who called President Obama a subhuman mongrel. Well, some Republicans have said they have a problem with that language, including Texas Governor Rick Perry. But Rand Paul took it a step further on Twitter. He wrote, quote, Ted Nugent's derogatory description of President Obama is offensive and has no place in politics. He should apologize. You know what? That's why I begin to think Rand Paul is smarter than a lot of people think. Your thoughts, Dana? I don't think he's one of the real wackos. I think I prepared yesterday the snowboarders and the skiers. Of the snowboarders, the ones on the further out, he's going for the gold medal. Your thoughts?
Yeah. Well, and good for Rand Paul to say this, and I mean, he's got his own, shall we say, exotic views on certain matters, but he recognizes that this Republican Party is going to have to reach out to younger people, reach out to minorities, so he's got that part of it right. And, I think the really astonishing thing here is that the man who is favored in the polls to be the next governor of Texas is actually campaigning unapologetically with this guy who's using essentially Nazi terminology to refer to the president of the United States.
You got to wonder about his reading habits when he picks up that nomenclature.
You're not kidding. And it is about, as Ron was saying, it is about making the opposition something other than human, that we can't even debate them on our level because they are less than us. And that's a way of dismissing any sort of political
Well, he took it
argument.
back today and said he's just a liar now. He said the president's just a liar now. Anyway, thank you, Ron Reagan. I guess you have to be a person to be a liar. Anyway, thank you, Dana Milbank. He's upticking. Anyway, up next, the right wing hated Bill Clinton when he was president, of course. They loved him. And they were out there bashing President Obama. Now with Hillary mulling a presidential run, they hate him again all over again. What's this on and off again thing? What's next? This is Hardball, the place for politics.